Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC Fight Night, Grasso vs. Araujo. First of all, there are no injustices. I will explain in a second. There was an injustice I thought there was. Let me re-say that. I thought there was an injustice, and it turns out that there actually wasn't one. I had to re-watch the fight, and I probably flubbed it. It was close, but I'll explain in a second. We're going to go straight to the honorable mentions. There's not really much to talk about here. Nice fights, a lot of finishes, but again, not much to talk about here. This is all in anticipation for UFC 280. First honorable mention is Rodriguez versus Hughes. In the very first round, excuse me, let me start all over. I'm jumbly today. I had this 29-28 for Rodriguez. I put a close marker on the third round. I thought that round was close. In the first round, Rodriguez had a takedown, but Hughes had outstruck her. Rodriguez really didn't do anything with the takedown, hence why the round goes for Hughes in that first. Second round, Rodriguez had 3 takedowns and outstruck Hughes. 100% the round for Rodriguez. And then in the third round, it was very close on the feet. I gave the edge to Rodriguez. I had felt she had outstruck her just barely. And she also had a takedown, so I gave the round to her. But it's very close. It's very close. She did nothing with the takedown, Rodriguez, and it was so close on the feet that you can kind of it's one of those. So I put a close marker there. I wouldn't be mad if anyone scored that last round for Hughes, but the first two are definite, 100%. 29-28 for Rodriguez on my scorecard. You go to the judges' scorecards, and Mike Bell had it 29-28 for... All of them had it 29-28 for Rodriguez. But he gave the first round to Rodriguez. Honorable mention there to Mike Bell. I disagree entirely. And then Saul D'Amato, same thing. Both of their scorecards reflect each other. They gave the last round to Hughes. It's a close round, so don't really care. And then Adelaide Bird, her scorecard reflects mine. So there's that. You go down to the next honorable mention, Martinez versus Davis. Okay, this. Let me preface this by saying I watched this originally, and I'd given the first round to Davis based off the fact that I thought he had outstruck him more. I felt it as though he had more head strikes. Right? Finished the whole fight. I was like, I put the little injustice marker on it, and then I was like, you know what? Hold on. That round was so close. In the back of my head, I was like, I have to finish this fight, finish this card, and then go back and rewatch it, and that's what I did. So here's what I put originally. I had this 29-28 for Davis. Okay. Where I gave the first and the third for Davis. Now, the last two rounds are not up for question. It's only the first round, but let me explain. I gave the first to Davis, the last to Davis, and what I wrote down was in the first round, Davis had the better head strikes, despite Martinez being busier with his feet, landing leg kicks, teeps, and things like that. Second round, Davis was outstriking Martinez up until he got dropped, and a couple shots by Martinez landed on him to end the round. And then in that third round, in that last round, where can I find it? Both had a takedown, but Davis had more. He outstruck him, and he had more ground and pound. Hence, that round goes to him. All right, so it's split in the bottom half. You go. What I did was I wasn't confident, so I went back and I rewatched it. On the second rewatch, it's very close. I think the strikes are very close. Martinez is doing a lot, as in leg kicks, kicks to the body. A lot of the shots were blocked. A lot of the shots were returned by Davis. So while Martinez was being busier with his bottom half, I don't think he was outstriking him in any sense. But as you go on to the end of the round, it's obvious that he wins the round because at the very end of the round, he lands like 3 shots that kind of put him away in the sense that he won that round. And so that's an honorable mention on me. I'll just go ahead and say it. I probably should have got that. Again, maybe in hindsight I probably should have put a close marker on it, but no. Martinez gets that round. But it is close. It's kind of, if you were to go back and watch it, if you watch it in full time, you got it, whatever. If you rewatched it, he kind of beats him by maybe 4 to 3 strikes. 3 to 4 strikes. He probably beats him by that much of a margin. So it's a close round, but it's obvious that Martinez won that round. Here are the judges' scorecards. You have Mike Bell. He had 29-28 for Martinez. He gave the first 2 to Martinez. Same with Tony Weeks. And then with Junichiro Kamijo, again, like I said before, he gave that first round to Davis. It's a close round, actually. There's so much pausing in that round, and once you just minimize all the pauses and you just watch it in its full flow, it's obvious Martinez won by a couple strikes here and there, but again, it's not bad that Junichiro Kamijo gave the first round to Davis. The last 2 rounds reflect my scorecard from all the judges, so there's that. You go to the next honorable mention. All right, and that's Wright and Todorovic. This fight ended in a TKO for Todorovic. I had this 10-9 in the first round for Wright. I was thinking maybe a possible 10-8, but I didn't write that because while Todorovic got beat the entire round, he was searching for submissions pretty much while he was getting ground and pounded. He was moving, sticking and moving. He was in and out. It wasn't, yes, he got dominated, but it wasn't, for me, it wasn't enough to give him a 10-8. You go straight to, now, if that second round had ended without Wright being TKO'd, that's probably a 10-8, objectively speaking. But what I had wrote was, in that first round, Wright had 3 takedowns with ground and pound. You go to the judges' scorecards. Tony Weeks had it 10-9 for Wright. Adelaide Bird had it 10-9 for Wright. And then Chris Lee had it 10-8. I'm not mad at it, but part of me doesn't like it, but it is what it is. Then you go to the most important fight of the night. Grasso versus Araujo. I had this 50-45 Araujo. I've said this many times. When I get scorecards like these, when I write scorecards like these, I'm always like grimacing because you're like, while yes, individual rounds were close, it becomes one of those things where your scorecard looks away. Like if let's say, there's fights like these where there's 50-45s, but like they're so close that like from a you looking at a 50-45, it almost looks bad. But you're just scoring it the way you're supposed to score it. Anyways, I had this 50-45. I put a close mark on the third round. I think the third round you can actually argue for Araujo. I think that's the only round, objectively speaking, the only round you can argue for Araujo. While a lot of the rounds were close. In the first round, Grasso outstruck Araujo, close on strikes. Araujo had a takedown, but immediately Grasso had a reversal, so that kind of nullifies the takedown. And Grasso obviously outstruck Araujo. It's very close on the strikes, but she outstruck her. We go to the second round. Araujo had 2 takedowns. She did diddly squat with these takedowns. She did absolutely 0 things with these takedowns. The first takedown she had, I think she had a little bit of top control, a little bit of control time, but she was just kind of like, smothering isn't the right word. Laying on her. I don't want to use laying on her because that doesn't sound right, but she was just kind of like, she was just kind of holding her really, for a little bit. But she had got outstruck before she had gotten the takedown, and then right after the second takedown, she had also gotten outstruck pretty much. So that round goes to Grasso as well. You go to the third round, very close on the feet. Very close on the feet. I gave this to Grasso based off of how she ended. She ended with a combination that kind of finished the round. Gave the round to her. You can argue this for Araujo. That's fine. And then you go to round 4 where Grasso outstruck Araujo. That's plain and simple. And then Round 5, close on the feet up until, once again, Grasso kind of finishes well, and then that's when you have Araujo kind of clinch her up, and then that's really pretty much the end of the fight. You look at the judges' scorecards. Mike Bill had a 50-45. His scorecard reflects mine. And then Saul D'Amato, Junior Camillo, they both had a 49-46 for Grasso, except Saul D'Amato gives the fourth round to Araujo. Honorable mention there. That's nonsense. That round goes to Grasso 100%. And then Junior Camillo gives a 10-9 to Araujo in the third round. That's understandable. I think that's the closest round there is. So there's that. That is all I have. I'm going to go to sleep. And then I now have to be a European where I have to wake up well early. I'm probably going to have to wake up at 7. I know the card for me starts at 9, right? I believe the card starts at 9 for me for UFC 280. But I'm going to wake up at 7 just to make sure I'm not tired in preparation for 280. So that's all I got. Thank you for listening, and God bless.